This is Christina from Christina Articulates, and today I'm trying a little something different. So what I have today is Avea Trotter here from Monster High's new Freaky Fusion line, and I was really excited to get her, so I decided that I'd share the unboxing experience with you guys, and maybe we can do a little first impression what I think of this doll. So first, just looking at the box, you can see that the box is a bit of a different shape from the normal Monster High boxes if you're familiar with them. This one has kind of a lightning bolt shape to it, which is continued around with the lightning bolts all over, which I think must have something to do with the freaky fusions that we're going to be seeing in this new movie. Other than that, it's a fairly straightforward Monster High box. What's exciting for me is I actually got these from the American Amazon and not from a usual Canadian store since I am in Canada. So I actually get all of the information on the box in English as opposed to the international boxes, which are usually pretty limited. So we can see here that Avea is a hybrid of a centaur and a harpy, which is actually kind of interesting because the centaur is already sort of a hybrid, right? So she's kind of three animals all together, or three monsters all together. And then on the back we just have a brief little bit of information about her. She's 17, she can run really fast. And we'll see more about her bio once we read her bio inside. So let's open the box. Okay, so I'm actually going to be recording some narration for this because I kind of screwed up on the audio for this section. So we're just going to have a little bit of a look at Avea. We're going to start at the top, and you can see her hair is really beautiful color. It's a mix of teal and like a green color that overall gives it a really nice effect. And I really like the sort of gentle wave that it has in the ponytail. And I also really like that she has a widow's peak. I always love when dolls have that little feature, and I think it gives her a little bit of a more unique look because there aren't a ton of dolls that have that. And then I think we're trying to look at her makeup, and you can see that instead of more traditional eyeshadow all around her eyes, she actually has brightly colored feathers, which is I think a pretty neat effect and gives her a really different look. And I love how many colors there are and how nice and bright. And her eyes themselves are a light blue color, which is very nice, and she has very almond shaped eyes. She actually has almost maybe even a bit of a mean look to her face, but not really mean, just maybe a bit more severe. And we're going to look at her lips, and her eyebrows are actually a similar purple shade. I do wish that her eyebrows matched her hair, but the purple goes nicely with her skin, so that's good. And I think also what's really interesting about Avea's face is her profile and the bridge of her nose. You can see her nose is pretty wide and very differently shaped, and she has a really strong profile, which really gives her kind of like an equine look to her face, sort of horsey. And then moving on down to her blouse, she has a jacket that is sort of like a deep reddish pink with a plaid pattern over it, puff sleeves, high collar, very equestrian. And under that she has a flowy blue blouse with a high collar and this sort of elaborate harness belt situation that goes all around her waist and then back down over her horse body. And she has this red bracelet, which is sort of like molded to look like leather with a buckle on it. Very again, equestrian in theme, and both of her hands are painted black to look as if she was wearing gloves, and they have a little blue ruffle around the wrist to match her shirt. And her other bracelet is purple, and it's similar in theme to the red one. Like, it looks like it's a strap of sort of twisted leather with buckles and straps, like horse riding tack. Very nice, and I like the touch of purple to sort of tie in the body. And then lastly, of course, we have her wings, which are really neat. They have large molded feathers, and overall they're black, but the ends of them are kind of sprayed this like interesting green color. which stands out against her hair, but still kind of goes with the whole color scheme that she has going on. I really like these wings. They attach just like Rochelle or the Create a Monster wings, just with little pegs into her back. And the last detail that we're going to look at here is on her arms. She actually has molded feathers on her forearms, just as one more sort of nod to her harpy heritage. It's hard to zoom in, so in the future I probably won't be doing too much of that. We're going to figure out how to make these look a little bit better next time. And so there is the upper half of Avea's outfit. So moving on down to the horse body, which is probably the part that people were most excited about for this doll, because, I mean, really, it's a Centaur doll. You don't really run into that a lot in the sort of regular playline things. So it actually is looks pretty well designed. It has a lot of nice, like, you can see nice, like, musculature lines along her haunches and at the front even. And when you compare it to something like Headmistress Bloodgood's Horse Nightmare, I think this has a bit more natural look to it, a little less like fantastically large and muscled like that horse was. And then so on her haunches, on her back legs, on just the one side, she has little skullettes, like kind of like she was a dapple horse. And then we have those same markings on her front leg on the opposite side. And then on each of her 4 legs, she has kind of like a shin guard that are black, and each have buckles, silver painted buckles that wrap around her leg. And she's articulated at both back hips, so here on both sides, and then at the front, at what I guess you would kind of call, I don't know, the shoulder, the top of the front leg, the knee, and at the ankle. So she actually has quite a bit of articulation, and I understand that she has a little hidden joint as well that we'll see in just a moment. But one final detail about her harpy look is you can, on top of her hooves, she has, where instead of, like, you know, fur or things like that, it's actually little molded feathers, which just adds to the look. It's a nice small detail that you might otherwise miss. And I think overall, I'm really happy with the overall appearance of her. I would really like, I think, if her hooves were maybe painted a different color. But overall, I think it's pretty cool. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some of her clothing off so that we can have a look at her body underneath it, because I think that it's going to be pretty interesting. So I've actually moved my camera onto the tripod for this part because I want to be able to show you her articulation, and I'm probably going to need both hands to show off a lot of it. So we're going to start with what is actually, I think, the most interesting thing about her to me is that she actually has a torso joint, and she is the first Monster High doll to have a jointed torso, which is very exciting. They already have really great articulation, but adding in this joint really gives Avea something special, and I think it makes up for the fact that she doesn't really have, she can't really bend like at the waist the way that Monster High dolls can by moving their hips, obviously. She doesn't really have that ability. So you can see that it goes a pretty good amount in either direction, and that allows her to kind of turn and, you know, have her body facing forward while her horse body is still facing sideways. And then she also has a small amount of movement in it, sort of like this. It's not a lot, and there's also a small amount of front and back. It's not a lot, but it's more than none, so I think that turns out, actually ends up working out really well. And then moving down, as I said before, she has 3 points of articulation in each of her front legs. So she has the ankle and the knee, which is here, and then this joint up here, and then finally she has just this hip joint. It doesn't go very far, but I think it goes far enough without making her too unstable. And also a lot of times toy horses have like weird, if they have joints in their knees in the back, they kind of like bend backwards, which ends up looking really awkward and unnatural. So we have avoided that. Now, I was just playing around with posing her just a little bit while I was setting up this for this shot, and I've noticed that I think what is the biggest problem is that her hooves are really, really slick. And I'm on a wooden table, and that's making it very difficult for her to hold a lot of poses. And we're just going to have a look at a couple of the poses that she can strike. Anything that keeps her sort of 3 legs on the ground is generally pretty good. What I would really like to be able to do with her is have her, you know, rear right up, but part of it is that she can't really, she can bend forward a little bit, but it's kind of awkward, and then otherwise she won't stay because those back legs won't stay. But I think you still have a lot of great options for play with her or display, depending on if you're, you know, what you are choosing to do with your doll. And I think this is a little unnatural, but I think overall she's going to be a lot of fun to play with or to display, depending on, you know, what you want to do with her. And she'll be super fun to photograph because you can get lots of neat photos of her. You know, you can pose her and use, you know, strings and all sorts of photographic trickery to make it look like she's standing in ways that, in poses that she actually wouldn't be able to hold all on her own. Yeah, my table's pretty uneven, so she's not really wanting to do too much posing for us today, but just have a quick, there she is, and then you can see her from the front, if we can get her. Yeah, there we go. You can see sort of her basic body shape from the front. Actually, right from the front, she doesn't look, you can almost not even notice the horse body because it is a very slim sort of thing. And while we have some of her clothes off, I just want to take a quick look at, you can see, you can see how the harness attaches back around her. So it goes on like this and then attaches underneath her belly with just a simple peg. And so you can have her just wearing this and any of her items of clothing, or then you would be able to attach the belt that actually goes around her waist. And so that goes around her waist and then attaches again right here with just simple peg closures. So it's a nice option. You can have a little more versatility in her outfit depending on how you want your Avea to be styled. There we have the lovely Miss Avea Trotter. A fusion of a centaur and a harpy. And if you would like to see more photos, close-up details of this doll, please head over to my blog, which is christinaarticulates.blogspot.ca. And you can also find me on Tumblr at Christina Articulates. And thanks for watching, and I hope you like this video.